everybody, welcome back. I'm Alex, and today is the Oktoberfest episode. I am really excited about this. So, like I said, Eric and I went to Oktoberfest last year. So, we went the first weekend of Oktoberfest, which technically this year would have been last weekend. But yeah, I thought it would be cool just to give some ideas on what we did as far as like planning the trip, and then maybe some tips as far as like when you get there, what it's like, how can you get around, like what are some best practices or things that helped us at least. So if you are thinking about going to Oktoberfest or just want to see more of what it is actually like, stay tuned. And okay, so really the first thing about how we planned Oktoberfest was I did a lot of research. Basically, you want to start planning about a year or 8 months in advance, because a lot of times hotels will book up very quickly. And I mean, flights you just sort of need to keep an eye on, but you definitely want to do your research and get a hotel as soon as you basically decide that you're actually going to go, because I mean, obviously, having a place to stay is the most important thing. So, whether it's a hostel or a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever, I would look at booking that as soon as possible, like the very first thing you do, just so you make sure you have a place to stay. And then, just sort of keep an eye on flights. Those were really the main two things that we did. And then as you get closer, you can look at any other like additional excursions you want to do or anything like that. So for our trip out, we started off in Munich for Oktoberfest, and then, like I said in another video, we then went to Salzburg for a day, and then we finished up in Vienna because they're all sort of together. So, I mean, you could certainly stay in Germany the whole time. We sort of did like a Bavaria trip, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff to see around Munich, and you could easily go to like Berlin. Salzburg was only 2 hours away, so I mean, you could do it that way as well. So once you do have your like room set and everything, transportation is the next thing you want to look at. So we were like, our hotel was close enough to where we could just walk to Theresienwiese. It was about a 10 or 15 minute walk. But if you're staying further out from the city, you could also take the metro is what they recommend. So taking the subway basically, because like cabs and stuff, it's going to be too crazy. So if you are staying somewhere that's a little further out, you might want to look into that as well. See if you need to get tickets or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure you can just get the tickets at the station there. So the next thing I would recommend doing is looking at the Oktoberfest website. So there is an official website for Oktoberfest, and they actually have an app. So I'll link the website below, but they do actually have an app that is very useful. So it will tell you what the stall capacity is. So the different stalls, they call them stalls, but it is basically like a giant... They're huge. They're like I don't want to call it like a warehouse, but it's basically like a giant like convention center, like for each one. I think the largest one holds like 14,000 people. So it's basically like stadiums for beer drinking. And there are a bunch of them. So basically, whenever you walk into Theresienwiese, there's like the main thoroughfare area. Say this is the main thoroughfare, and then dotted all around there are your different beer stalls. And then there's also like an old Oktoberfest, which is further back behind the main Oktoberfest area. That costs money to go to, but to go to actual like Oktoberfest, like the beer drinking stuff, that is free entry. But obviously it's expensive to like actually drink, and I'll get to that as well. But yeah, so there's also a old Oktoberfest area that's I think 10 euros to go into, and that's like the original part. So it's sort of like a like older sort of carnival style area that has rides and stuff like that. And then there is actually like a little like state fair sort of area as well. I mean, this place is huge, so there is another area that has like rides and like a Ferris wheel and that kind of stuff, if you want to do that as well. So there's a variety of things to do if maybe you don't want to drink or can't drink, or what have you. There's definitely options. You don't have to drink going to Oktoberfest, but there's definitely a lot of it. Anyway, back to the app. So if you download the app, it will tell you the capacity that each of the places are at, which is very helpful because that will give you an indication as to how easy it will be to get a table. And then it will also tell you just like the locations, like it's a map, and beer cost and menus and things like that. So just very easy to have when you're navigating, and just to help plan out when you're there. The next thing is that if you are going with a large group, you should definitely make a reservation. So reservations are for tables of 6 or more, like parties of 6 or more. So if you're going, like it was just me and Eric, so we didn't make a reservation. It was pretty easy to just go in and like slip it in at a table. Now, they are like family style tables. So, I mean, you're basically just going to be grabbing a table, a seat anywhere, like make some friends basically. But if you were going with a larger group, you should probably try to make some reservations. Now, the thing with reservations is that you then need to have like a food or drink ticket, or a food ticket. You basically have to have, it's like an F&B minimum basically if you're making a reservation. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, if you go up without a reservation, you're probably going to be waiting for a while. Now, if you don't make a reservation, they have to keep a certain percentage of each of the halls free for non-reservations. But if there is a table that has a reservation that you're sitting at, you will get kicked out when reservations start. So basically at 4 o'clock, so basically you can come in and come and go like as you please, and sit at whatever table, but as soon as that reservation time period starts, you have to get out of the table. And most reservations will be in the evenings. Time of day to go, we went in the mornings. Now obviously we were there the first weekend, like we were there the first Saturday of Oktoberfest, and it was mad. But we were still able to get tables. We were only there for a little bit, and we went into one place, and had a beer, and then went sightseeing the rest of the day. So I mean, the app is also a really good indicator of how busy it's going to be. So if you're a sightseeing, or you're a little more flexible in your schedule of when you're going to actually go to Theresienfest, then you can look on the app and say, oh, it looks like it's a little bit less crowded. Let's get ready and head over. But typically the evenings are going to be very, very busy. So we stuck to the daytime and then headed out like around, we got there the one day at like 9 o'clock, and we left around 1, which was plenty. So that's the next thing, is be ready to be prepared, one, with cash, because most places will, actually all of the beer stalls are pretty much cash only. So make sure you allot cash for each day, and how much you want to drink each day basically. And you can get a good idea of that by going on the Oktoberfest website, or if you have like the prepaid vouchers. Obviously it's a festival. As with any festival, it's going to be more expensive. Obviously the beers come in steins, so you can save a bit on drink that way. But with food, it's obviously, it can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So just keep an eye on that as well, but take cash because most places do not accept cards. If you want to wear an outfit, go for it. Eric and I were all into wearing the outfits. I bought a dirndl on sale from a website that I will also link below. They can be extremely expensive if you get very nice ones, but I got mine on sale for I think 100 euros, and it's very good quality and everything, so I was really happy with it. As a woman, I also needed like a purse of some sort. A lot of people will do like crossbodies. I actually found on this website, it's called an apron purse. So it's basically a fanny pack that you can loop through the apron on your dirndl, and you can keep your stuff in it. So that way you're hands free. But for guys, there are pockets in the lederhosen, but plenty of guys and women are wearing the costumes. Obviously, it's a very traditional German thing, so locals and tourists alike are in the garb, so you don't have to be like embarrassed, like nobody else is going to be in it. It's definitely welcomed and expected that you should dress up. But it's really an awesome atmosphere. I mean, some guys really go out with like hats that are, really made up. Some of these dirndls are just absolutely beautiful. And there's definitely an array of styles as well. So you can find what suits you. One thing that I would highly recommend is a comfortable pair of shoes because it's a lot of walking, and also something that you don't mind getting dirty because there's also like spilled beer and stuff like that. You're with a bunch of people that are drinking, so it's likely that they will get dirty. So if you buy a pair of like expensive walking shoes, just know that they're probably going to get beer spilled on them. So the weather can change pretty rapidly, and it can be either hot or cold in Germany depending on the time of day or whatever. The one day we were there, it was really nice. The next day it was spitting rain and freezing. So just also be aware of that. We brought like coats and stuff that were able to I brought a pair of socks that I could pull up or leave short, so that helped a little bit. In the tents themselves, it's not all that cold, but walking from tent to tent and like around it was pretty cold when the wind blew. So just keep an eye on weather. Basically, if you're able to bring a coat, do it, but otherwise, I mean, you could get by just like wearing a sweater or something like that, to where you don't have to be carrying something else around. I had these like grandiose plans of planning out where we were going to go and whatnot, and which tents we wanted to hit and everything, but whenever we got there, it was just so overwhelming. There were so many people, and you just like don't even know where to look. So we tried to have a plan, but also the app helped us sort of navigate a little bit. So once we got there, the plan went out the window, and we just sort of went where the lines were sort of short, and we were able to get in quickly. So, I mean, you can try to plan it, but a lot of you definitely need to be flexible in your planning, I would say. And also know for people who maybe don't like straight up German beer, or the Oktoberfest beer, there is also, or if you are trying to watch your beer intake, you can obviously get water and soft drinks and things like that, but I drank the entire time what is called a Radler, which is basically like a shandy but with grapefruit. So it was beer and grapefruit juice and like soda, and it was amazing. I was able to drink several of them and be fine, but you just need to like pace yourself out with anything, and just be careful, keep your wits about you, because I mean there are sloppy people there that can't handle their alcohol well, and most of them are well-meaning and jolly and everything, but just always keep your wits about you, and pay attention to your surroundings is what I'll say. Another thing that I thought was really helpful is just knowing some basic German words, like knowing one, two, Radler, thank you, please. Those sorts of things can get you a long way. Also, tipping the like servers was also very helpful. As with anything, tipping typically in Europe will help you get a little bit better service. So I found that was helpful as well. But also just learning a few basic words I think was very helpful too. As far as going there and getting in on the party, I mean, that's basically it is just a big party. So you will also see places are handing out. Now this is from our hotel, but you will see places will be handing out these cookies, these heart-shaped cookies. They're basically like gingerbread cookies, and this is from last year. There are stalls that sell those all throughout the festival area, and basically, and there are some people that will wear pins, so you can get really small ones, you can get like purses. I mean, it's like one of the like staples of the festival, and the saying is that your loved one buys them for you. So basically, if you're a girl, your like boyfriend or husband will go and purchase this heart for you, and the largest one, like the bigger heart cookie they buy you, the more that they love you. So there are ones that are like literally like as big as your head. It's insane. But you can also get little baby ones too. But they're expensive. So we just got the free ones that came from our hotel. They were handing them out like as soon as we deplaned in the airport. I mean, they're everywhere. Really, Munich, like as a town, really embraces Oktoberfest, obviously. So, I mean, everywhere you go, there's Oktoberfest specials and things like that. So, my next point would be like know when to stop, I guess. You don't have to spend the entire time at Oktoberfest. So if you go there for a few hours, get your drinks in, go to a couple of the tents that you want to, then you can go out and sightsee and maybe go to another little restaurant or brewery or pub that is also celebrating Oktoberfest and get more of the like local flair there as well, and that. So otherwise, I mean, there's bands, there's singing. Another thing, it is kosher to stand on benches. That's allowed, but never ever stand on the table. You will get thrown out for that. And if you are seen to be sloppy drunk, a lot of times you will also get thrown out. So you can get thrown out of beer tents. Security is very good. And I mean, it was a very safe environment, but there are things that you can do that will get you thrown out. Yeah, it's super fun. We were really excited when we heard the band playing Country Roads. We heard it in a couple different tents, so that was really cool. We met mostly Americans that were there, some guys from Finland as well. But it's just a really cool way to meet people, get into the atmosphere. There are hops everywhere. The Hofbrauhaus tent had chandeliers made with hops. They have wreaths made out of them. I mean, it's just really amazing. And there's also the opening day parade, which was really cool. And you have all of the different like houses that are like themed. So there was one house that is all like very traditional, and then you have like the hunters. Really cool just to see all of that, and I love a parade. And they also have big Clydesdales that represent each of the different tents as well, if each of the different breweries. So they have the beer barrels on the back, and the Clydesdales are out going through the parade, and then they show up at the festival area so that you can pet them and take pictures with them and that kind of stuff. So it's a really good time. I would highly recommend doing it once just to say that you could do it. And it's really cool. But manage your costs, plan ahead, take cash, comfortable shoes, and learn a couple words so that it's just a little bit easier for you that way. If there's anything that I didn't mention, please comment below. Reach out to me on social media, because I came up with a little list to try to hit everything, but if I missed anything, let me know. If you have any other questions, please reach out. And have any of you been to Oktoberfest? I would love to hear your experiences with that as well. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.